Hi everyone. As a lot of people wind down their year and take stock of the last 12 months, we've put together what we are calling the real estate resolutions. These are our best ofs from Property Investor Tales 2024, containing useful tools and tricks to help you navigate your wealth journey. And if you're keen to dive deeper into the topic and explore the world of property investing in Australia, don't miss our upcoming Property Investor webinars. Click the link below to explore our exciting lineup for 2025, where you'll discover how you can kickstart your property journey or supercharge your existing portfolio.
I feel like by the time I get to so-called pension age, whatever that's going to be at the time, there probably won't be one because the government can't afford it now, let alone, and we weren't supposed to live more than 5 or 10 years post-retirement when it was first invented.
You're listening to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard.
Hello and welcome to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard, where I get to speak to property investors from all around Australia about their property investing journey. My name is Louise Carr and I'm one of the senior coaches here at Positive Real Estate, where we help people build wealth through property. With over 8,000 clients across Australia and New Zealand, there's some incredible stories to tell, which will hopefully make your investing journey that little bit easier and will inspire you along the way. So my guest today is Kylie Duncan-Tiver, and we discuss three her biggest lessons: being single, making big financial decisions, and navigating the world of property investing. From being self-employed in travel agents to navigating through that finance, through her COVID and times as well. Kylie shares some valuable lessons with us all, and I hope you enjoy this conversation with Kylie. Hi everyone, welcome to the podcast. My name is Louise Carr and today I'm hosting the podcast with a fabulous guest, Kylie Duncan-Tiver. Welcome to the podcast, guys. So certainly, Kylie, we've had a little bit of trivia because I've mentioned at the start, like I've known you ever since I've joined PRE, and a bit of interesting trivia, we actually joined at the same time. So January 2014.
So we've passed the 10-year anniversary. We've survived, Lou.
Absolutely, over a decade together. So look, it's great to have you, and thanks for sharing part of your journey and being part of this today as well. So we'll get straight into it. So before, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, such as your profession, a little bit about your personal or professional background? It'd be great.
Yeah. So I am a travel agent of 30 years this year. And I've been in business for myself now for the last, where are we? 2010, end of 2010. Went into business for myself, so being a sole trader throughout that period, except COVID, when I had to go out and find other work for obvious reasons.
Yes.
The borders were closed and the world shut down, and so on and so forth. So yeah, as a single person, just wanted to work out ways to be able to enable a financial future that was going to be a lot more stable than if I had stayed employed with somebody else, with the risks that come with that these days of not necessarily having, and being paid what I'm worth rather than what somebody else thinks I'm worth too, I guess is a motivation. So I came from that, and I'd also had 3 car accidents in a very short 3.5 years. So I had to find other ways to make income, because it actually turned out that I wasn't capable of sitting all day, every day at a desk to be able to enable that income as well. So, there was a couple of big things that made me sort of sit up and take notice and become self-employed, and then follow this journey with real estate through PRE.
Yes, yeah. I remember at the core of that is your independentness as well, and wanting to be, certainly that autonomy, which is great.
Yeah, and I guess I feel like by the time I get to so-called pension age, whatever that's going to be at the time, there probably won't be one because the government can't afford it now, let alone, and we weren't supposed to live more than 5 or 10 years post-retirement when it was first invented. So
yeah. Yeah, so certainly to have more freedom and choices, and I know travel is pretty high on your priority list, so which is what I'll be
Yeah, absolutely,
like
absolutely.
me, yeah, live and breathe what you love, which is great.
Mm.
So what has been your experience with property before joining PRE?
So I had purchased my own home,
Mm-hmm.
just a 3-bedroom basic war veterans home in Blair Athol here in South Australia, and I just didn't know how to really go about finding out how to do the research and making sure that I would make a best decision for further investing. So there was a member of PRE at an event that was held in Adelaide, and I think he's still there, Todd.
Yes, yes, he is.
So yeah, it was just, the information that he shared was, it hit home about what PRE could offer. The education, the support, all of those things, and you can use as much or a little as you choose, but certainly the support is always there. And for the lifetime mentoring fee that I paid back then, it's absolutely been worth it. So, my first property didn't do as well because the council changed the rules just after purchase, and that meant that the property value went down and the rents went down and all sorts of things. So that was quite a torrid time for someone who was on a limited. I know I was on a very limited income at the time, but certainly I was able to get out of that pretty even Stevens in the end. I ended up finding a really good real estate agent locally who did a great job after sacking the first month. And he did a really great job, and we got the job done, and I got out and I was able to start afresh. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without the support of the coaches and the whole team at PRE. So
yeah, exactly. So how did that the experience and coaching with PRE help you make good investment decisions after joining Positive?
It's just making sure that you know your numbers and you do your due diligence in where the property's at, what kind of properties. And yes, circumstances change, and we talked earlier today about because the property that I've got now is a 1-bedroom apartment in Liberty One
in Melbourne,
and
for those beautiful.
And whilst the property value itself hasn't gone up, and the deposit was paid pre-COVID, and then of course COVID delayed everything, for which I was eternally grateful because I didn't have the income to settle during COVID. And it's worked out really well. Like the rent appraisals have gone up. So I'm just in negotiation with yourself and just checking contracts and things so that we can perhaps look at that and get a solid increase on the rent after the first 12 months, because that's coming up. And just being able to know that it's a solid investment where I'm at, just having, gone through the numbers with the rental appraisals, and whilst the property hasn't gone up huge amounts in value since I purchased it, I think, with the way things are changing, then that will improve. The yield is really, really good at the moment, and I'm hoping it will go even better once I've renegotiated the rent.
Yeah, absolutely. From the research we did today and the data with vacancy rates and everything like that, it looks really, really promising, which is good. And certainly we discussed earlier, like you bought really, really well in a gentrificational suburb. So certainly with without divulging too much information, for with a 3 in front of it in Melbourne is unheard of. So yeah, certainly well positioned there as well. That's good. Thank you. Yeah. And so before PRE, and you may have really probably answered this in a way, but if you could elaborate on a little bit more, what was holding you back from investing before joining PRE?
Finances, confidence, and education.
Yeah.
So, like to be able to then have, like to be able to then go down that journey. Like once I saw Todd speak at that event, and I then wanted to work out how the heck I could make it happen. And I didn't have a 10 grand kitty at the time.
Yep.
So I had to work out how to make that happen. to be able to join the education process. And then it was learning about, okay, so how can I get my finances stable enough to then be able to then purchase my property, and then learning all those skills along the way of the due diligence and reading the reports and doing the numbers and all of those other things, and talking to the coaches, checking in with contracts on, you know, what was there, being able to read through the property investment reports that are sent out with the property releases that PRA is involved in. So, you know, if I wanted to buy outside of the offers that PRA do, now I feel like I have the confidence to be able to do it. But I certainly, knowing the deals that you guys have all got in the marketplace, am confident that each time I enter a deal from here on in and I've done my research appropriately, then, you know, that I've got to be moving forward and upwards each time I do a property purchase now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're very thorough in that regard. So your due diligence, your checklist. So I love, you know, thank you. You know, you certainly follow the process and very, very diligent in that regard. So I remember, you know, there was quite a few things to navigate. Being self-employed, obviously recovering from some car injuries as well was certainly a roller coaster, but I commend you for, you know, knowing your purpose, knowing your higher purpose. You had a goal and target, and you're very, very determined to reach it. So it's great. Climbing.
Yes. Well, fingers crossed we can, you know, get this one settled, and then, you know, another probably 12 months, and I should be able to look at another property then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good.
That's very exciting.
It is very exciting. And what do your friends and family think about your investment decisions? Or do you tell them about your investment decisions?
Well, my immediate family, so my parents and probably my sister more so, I have, you know, discussions with, and they go, you know, and also my brother-in-law, because he's very, very communicative and interested in all of that sort of thing as well. So yeah, look, they're fabulous with it, and like other people outside of that immediate circle, I guess, are like, oh wow, you must be doing all right. And I was like, well, I've actually got really good education, and I think I'm lucky. And I'm like, well, no, it's actually not luck. It's a lot of hard work and investment in myself, investment in time, and all the above to get things across the line. Nothing more so than when you're getting a new loan or refinancing, especially as a self-employed person.
Yeah.
Plenty of others out there that are in the same boat.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just that commitment and finding, you know, knowing where to go and who to get around you.
And having a great broker that's willing to communicate with, you know, if they're not already part of the PRE team. Like I've got someone who's not, but she has literally gone into battle for me, you know, for twice now, you know, once for a short-term lending, private lender, so that I could settle on my property, this most recent one. And then when I had needed to refinance, because it was, as I say, only a short-term loan, and being able to do that and getting it done in the lead up to Christmas and bang on the line, and like she got it over, and I just take my hat off to her, because she's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really good. And, you know, working with your account, looking for solutions as well, rather than just saying no, which is what we like to work with people. So don't tell me no, tell me how, essentially.
Yeah, she did tell me later, she goes, Kylie, I really thought I was going to have to say no, but we worked the way. So
I'm glad she told you later, not before.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll find a solution. We're going to get this happening for you. Absolutely. And so when you think about your investment journey, so it's been a 10-year journey or plus now, 10 years with PRE, what has been some of the biggest lessons that you've learned, or for people that are at the beginning of their investment journey, what advice or insights would you have for them?
Be organised right from the start. So whether it's physical or digital or both, be really, really organised and have everything set up in specific folders for, you know, for contracts, for the PI, for the property investment reports, for your for everything that comes through from, you know, whether it's your depreciation reports or building reports if it's a new build, or any of those things, just to be able to keep them all in one solid place. And then whether it's for your own accounting purposes or for your bookkeeper or accountant, I've actually got a bookkeeper because I hate it that much.
Yeah.
I'm willing to pay her to do that work because she does it now for the PRE stuff, my shares and my business. So, she gets the whole lot. So that would be the biggest key, is making sure you're organised and systematic in what you're doing, because then when it comes time for rent renewals or renegotiations or whatever it is, you can literally lay your fingers on anything you need at the drop of a hat, which saves so much time and energy if you need to do anything. And that helps with your due diligence as well. Like, you're going, oh, okay, I know where I saw that report that Louise sent me. I've got that information right. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing during, your due diligence, with just being super organised with where you're storing all of your information and contracts, etc.
Yeah, good advice. And I actually remember it's in the on North Terrace there, when we used to meet on North Terrace and have that you just hated bookkeeping and the numbers. So I remember having that, let's outsource it then. You don't need to do everything.
Yes.
Let's make this one.
Yes.
So,
And it's just been, seriously, that was the best thing I could have done for myself, because I just, like, when there's something I can go in and, think about it, and 5 minutes I can spend in there and update some stuff.
Yeah.
And that might be most of the personal stuff, so that the bookkeeper doesn't have to do that. But for the majority of it, she has access to this particular Dropbox folder, and I put all of my invoices and receipts and everything that goes in there for the relevant financial years. And she just goes in and has it at her fingertips, so she can just, snap her fingers and go, yep, I've got that. And it saves her time as well.
Yeah. And then you can concentrate on the things you enjoy and travel and your clients.
And where I'm going to make money rather than waste my time.
Yeah, exactly. Give you your time back and happiness as well. So tick.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So what would you say to the person watching this video who's thinking of growing a portfolio but is quite fearful or making the wrong decision?
Trust the processes that PRE have set up. Trust in, yes, still do your own due diligence, but certainly trust that PRE are doing their absolute best, and it's in your best interest at PRE, obviously, to look after us as your mentees and clients.
Yeah.
So, and just take on as much learning as you can, and if it takes asking the same question a few times to get it a really good understanding, then do that. And like, I believe that there's an event coming up on the Gold Coast, which I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make, with everybody all in one spot. But if you are part of the group and there's a South Australian contingent that you want to catch up with and just bash ideas around with, then I think that's also a really good idea. I know that we had some coffee things before COVID, and I don't know if they're going to come back, but certainly that's something that could potentially, just even if you're just, throwing ideas around with other clients from PRE, and someone else will have picked up something that you've missed, and vice versa, and then we can check in with you guys just to make sure that we're on the right track. So yeah, it's just really trusting that PRE do have our best interests at heart, like, because if they don't, then if you don't, then we're out of business.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here 20 plus years later and have a good relationship with 10 years plus. So yeah, absolutely. It's certainly lifetime mentoring and coaching and being able to support through all levels of your life as well, through the ups and downs. So yeah.
And I've been very fortunate to have had not just yourself as a coach, but I've had Carolyn Weston as well. And I think I even had Jason with a sit down there at one point.
We nabbed Jason to Adelaide. He loves Adelaide.
And also Tab. So I had a double meeting with, I was talking to yourself and Tab at one point, and then Jason was over having breakfast, and it's like, okay, so, and then, like, just getting that really simple drill down with him of, him drawing it out and just going boom, boom, boom. And I'm like going, oh, I get it. and it was just fabulous. So trust the people at PRE know what they're actually doing.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Kylie. Yeah, it's not always nice to hear, and the value that we get giving and coaching and mentoring, and especially as a single person navigating through this, through making some big financial decisions as well. Do you find has that been a consideration or guidance? Have you felt sort of a little bit more confident to make?
Oh, absolutely more confident. Like, and knowing that you guys have got the experts, so yourselves as the property and investment coaches, and then you've got the other people on the ground, the Brennans and those kind of guys that have got their area of specialty contribute towards what makes PRE work best. And being able to get in on the ground floor of deals, like I would, with the deals that I've got now in Liberty One, there's no way that I would have ever found that on my own. And I think about it back now and just go, how magnificent that I've actually got this property that is going to just give me an income long term. Yes, the interest rates have gone up, however much they all went up last year, but I've been able to refinance and got not too bad a deal. And I'm this is probably the first year that I felt like I haven't been on my bare bones. And I'm like going, okay, life is actually good. The upswing is happening. The property is rented. The property is renting above what the expected minimum was when I first signed the contract. The rental increase that I'm looking at is going to be even better again, potentially. My business is pumping. Like the world is just coming back together for me now, and I just feel like the future is now for me. Like it's just onwards and upwards with all of that coming together, and then being able to then probably be in a position in 12 months to be able to purchase another property. Whether or not it's something as good a value as what I've got this time, look, who knows? Yeah. But there are certainly opportunities that I'm really happy that PRE put through to us so that we can have a look and see whether or not they're worthwhile. And then you've got people you can crunch the numbers with and work out whether or not it's feasible and just take it from there. And, to be able to spread, property types and what's working, what's growing, what's the best zones to be in, all of those things are just, the education is just crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those that don't know, Liberty One is in a suburb called Footscray, which is in Melbourne. So, certainly some to get in the ground in a gentrification area that's certainly up and coming with the early, especially with 8 million people moving to Melbourne and one of the fastest growing populations. So you're very, very well positioned there for, not only, it wasn't always just a short-term plan, it was, for a long-term plan as well. So very, very well positioned. Look forward to celebrating with you in another decade and watching all the magnificent growth that you've had.
Yes, and the retirement money.
Yeah, exactly. And you've sacrificed a lot, being self-employed and travel through COVID and committing. But I've watched you, certainly commit a lot to not only your business but also your personal and financial development over the last decade as well, which is great. So yeah, and good to see that you're now I'm enjoying some of the successes from it as well.
And thanks for the mentoring.
Pleasure. That's good. So it's so good to have you here, and lots of so many lessons sharing with that. I'm just going to ask you that classic podcast question to wrap up today's interview, which is, if you could go back in time and you could meet your young Kylie, for example, when you're just beginning to adult, what would be your advice, given your experience today, that you would give young Kylie, 18-year-old?
I would probably have. I actually started looking at property really early, just thinking that mum and dad would be able to, because there was at that time three of us kids living in Adelaide, and it would be cheaper for us to pay rent, to pay their mortgage off. Mind you, the rates were still a lot higher than what they are now. Back in that period, but certainly I wish that I had when I had the stable income back then that I had taken a leap and then just filled the other bedrooms with renters and done that. So I've got a couple of cousins that have done that, and smart move. Like they've got, other people paying most of their mortgage for them, and they're building really great equity with low debt, and they're waiting until they've got most of that nailed down, and then they'll purchase another one for investment. And it's like, well, that's seriously really smart moves. And I wish I'd done that back then. Like, that's probably the biggest thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And being country, both farmers' daughters, it was very much a matter of having to move out young and coming to the city for more opportunities as well, wasn't it? So
yeah, absolutely. Well, there was, mum and dad were out on the station, so there was literally, unless I was going to work on the station, and that was never apparently an option. Like, the era of family then, like dad was like, no, you have to go off, like the station's going to the boys, you girls have to go and find another career and earn an income, and you'll probably get married and your husband will support you. That was the era that we grew up in. And of course I did none of that except the career bit.
Create your own path. Yes.
So I had to literally forge my own path, and my brothers are still running the station. So I've had a very different life to them.
Yeah. You have, and one that you're enjoying, curated yourself, which is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, certainly. Biggest regret is, a lot of people, it's what you've said is familiar. Like, wish I bought more real estate. At the time it would have seemed expensive, but hindsight.
But even just having started earlier, but like it was, I was mid-30s before I even bought my first house. But to actually live in, because I was scared of the commitment. So, like I'd only just paid off a car, and I'm like, no, I've got more debt. So, I guess going from no debt into big debt the first time ever is pretty scary. And so if there is anyone that's in that position, I really just have a really good sit down, work out your worst case scenarios, like what happens, like, because you can always sell it. You can always sell the property that you've purchased to, get yourself out of a hole if that's what happens. But look, I think that's probably the biggest thing is if you are young and this is your first big purchase, then get in, talk to your coaches, get the research and due diligence done, and jump in, because the sooner you start, the more leverage you're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. Just get on the ladder. It might not be in the right, the biggest house or the suburb that you want.
No, and your first property might be like mine, where it just ended up being, like a non-victory. But it certainly wasn't a great loss in the end. Like I came out even Stevens, thankfully.
Your first PPR,
So, so once I sold that first investment property and was able to then, re-sit down with all the, the money that I had with no debt and all that sort of stuff, it just was a lot easier second time round to do. But don't be scared to lean on the team, because that's what PRA team is there for.
Yeah, absolutely. Fresh slate, sometimes good.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. And, my second slate is now beautiful.
Yeah, sounds good. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today, Kylie. It's certainly a lot of valuable lessons there, and nice to delve a little bit, reflect on our story together as well. So absolute pleasure to have you as always. So thank you very much. Thanks for sharing.
Hey, thanks for listening to Property Investor Tales. Remember to subscribe so you get notified every time a new episode drops. As you can guess, I love hearing people's property investor tales. So if you'd like to share yours, then please get in touch with me via email at propertyinvestortales@positivementor.com.au. We would also love your feedback, and I would appreciate a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Remember, you can watch all of these podcasts over on YouTube at Positive Mentor or at positivementor.com.au. Until then, take care, happy investing, and bye for now.